Chinese CCP government is playing down fears of yet another pandemic and instead promoting travel to China. But traveling to China right now comes along with serious health questions. A new virus from China is threatening to sweep the world once again, just like the Wuhan virus. China is experiencing a surge in another respiratory illness, causing an alarm around the world about the possible outbreak of yet another epidemic. The biggest fear is whether the CCP will silence doctors and whistleblowers once again, just like it did to hide the Wuhan virus outbreak in 2019 before it was too late and the virus had already spread to Europe, the Americas, as well as India. The severity of the present situation is certain, as social media platforms are ablaze with pictures and videos of overwhelmed hospitals in China and overcrowded medical services, with people complaining of various respiratory diseases, including human metapneumovirus. The virus, which presents symptoms similar to flu and COVID-19, is spreading like fire. There have been various unverifiable reports of China declaring a state of emergency due to the latest deadly outbreak. Hospitals in several Chinese cities are overwhelmed with a sharp uptick in pneumonia and white lung cases, a term often used to describe severe pneumonia symptoms. But what is human metapneumovirus exactly? The respiratory virus was first discovered in 2001 in the Netherlands, after which American Lung Association identified the human metapneumovirus or HMPV as a significant cause of acute respiratory infections. Children with a weaker immune system are most susceptible to developing complications related to this illness, which has cold and flu-like symptoms circulating in winter and spring months. It is now witnessing a rise in northern areas of China, especially among children under the age of 14. As cases of the respiratory ailments increase, a surveillance system for pneumonia of unknown origin is being developed by China's Disease Control Administration. In fact, the outbreak came to light only when the NCDPA released a statement earlier this week about how respiratory infections had risen significantly in the week of December 16 to 22. Can Biao, an official from the NCDPA, warned at a press conference that the respiratory infections are expected to increase throughout the winter and spring. Now, this is more of a preemptive measure to warn the public compared to 5 years ago, when the Xi Jinping-led government failed to contain the COVID-19 outbreak due to a lack of monitoring systems. However, the World Health Organization has not yet sent out any alarm or warning regarding the current HMPV outbreak in China. But then again, the WHO had failed to act in 2019 as well. At the same time, there has been an update from the WPRO or Western Pacific region, which is one of the 6 regions of the World Health Organization, on the spread of this disease, with sources quoted in the media saying, the data from December 16 to 22nd indicates a recent rise in acute respiratory infections, including seasonal influenza, rhinovirus, respiratory syncytial virus, and human metapneumovirus or HMPV. Unquote. It, however, said that the overall scale and intensity of the respiratory infections diseases in China this year is lower than last year, and that seasonal increase in respiratory pathogens is expected in the northern hemisphere, particularly during the winter months. So what has been India's response to this recent health crisis from China? India, which faced the brunt of the Wuhan virus ruining millions of lives, has already stepped up actions to monitor the possible cases of the latest respiratory infections. The National Center of Disease Control or NCDC, which comes under the Union Health Ministry in India, is closely monitoring cases of respiratory and seasonal influenza in the country amid speculations of HMPV surge. Sources from the Union Health Ministry had revealed to news agency ANI, quote, "We will continue to monitor the situation closely, validate the information and update accordingly," unquote. The recent outbreak has mainly sparked extreme panic globally due to Beijing's questionable pandemic response, with CCP's persistent attempts to hide and distort key scientific data on the COVID-19 pandemic and its crackdown on whistleblowers questioning the government's response to the original outbreak in Wuhan. In a huge cover-up by Beijing, doctors and journalists who warned people worldwide about early infections in Wuhan in 2019 were either officially confirmed dead, or they went missing, or they were jailed by CCP authorities. An alarming 5,100 Chinese citizens were arrested in the first few weeks of the COVID outbreak in Wuhan for sharing the truth about the deadly disease with the world. Numerous dissidents were labeled as sick so that the CCP could place them in medical quarantine. The Chinese government till date continues to remain silent over the fate of some of these whistleblowers who were branded as enemies and are now believed to be in secret detention centers, a sinister form of extrajudicial imprisonment described by officials as residential surveillance at a designated location, unquote. Moreover, spread of respiratory diseases, especially originating from China, has sparked a debate over China deliberately engineering these ailments as bioweapons. You wouldn't believe it, but a researcher at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, Chao Shan, admitted in an interview to International Press Association in 2023 that coronavirus was indeed a bioweapon. Now, it was well known that the Wuhan lab had secretly been experimenting with bat viruses. However, CCP denied all claims nor allowed an international team of experts to investigate. The true origin of the pandemic from Wuhan that caused nearly 7 million deaths worldwide remains a mystery. So will China's CCP leadership repeat the same mistake again? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.